A thick wave of black smoke billowing in the sky. Area filled with the metallic tang of burning metal. On the 16th of July 2025, the Israeli military launched a barrage of airstrikes targeting the Syrian Defense Ministry headquarters in the capital of Damascus. This conflict is also entwined in the political history of both nations. 14th May 1948. Israel was declared an independent state following the United Nations partition of Palestine. And just a day later, it was attacked. 5 Arab countries versus 1 newly formed nation. Egypt, Iraq, Jordan, Lebanon and Syria teamed up against Israel. Ultimately, that conflict ended with Israel controlling Negev up to the former Egypt-Palestine frontier, except the Gaza Strip. June 1967, the historical Six-Day War. As a response to their Arab neighbors' apparent mobilization of war, Israel attacked and destroyed Syria and Egypt's air forces. As the name suggests, 6 days later, the war came to an end, with Israel in control of the Gaza Strip, the Sinai Peninsula, the Golan Heights, the West Bank, and Jerusalem. 6th October 1973, the Jewish holy day of Yom Kippur, Egypt and Syria attacked Israel, with continued fighting for several weeks. For generations, the Jewish people, once survivors of exile and genocide, now find themselves entrenched in a region where peace remains just out of reach. Every war, every border, every strike pulls them deeper into a conflict that refuses to end. In 1979, Egypt made peace with Israel. They made history by signing a permanent peace agreement marked by Israel's full withdrawal from the Sinai Peninsula. However, the hostilities with Syria continued. Syria has never really considered Israel a legitimate state, dismissing Israeli passports as legally valid for entry into Syrian territory. Likewise, Israel regards Syria as a hostile state, generally prohibiting its citizens from traveling there. However, it is important to discuss the military might of both countries. And now Israel's airstrikes on Syria, which Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu deemed was in interest of the Druze.
אחיי אזרחי ישראל הדרוזים, המצב בסווידה, המצב בדרום מערב סוריה, הוא חמור מאוד. צה"ל פועל, חיל האוויר פועל, כוחות אחרים פועלים. אנחנו פועלים כדי להציל את אחינו הדרוזים וכדי לחסל את כנופיות המשטר. ועכשיו יש לי בקשה אחת מכם. אתם, אזרחי ישראל, אל תעברו את הגבול. אתם מסכנים את חייכם, אתם יכולים להירצח, אתם יכולים להיחטף, ואתם פוגעים במאמצים של צה"ל. ולכן אני מבקש מכם, חזרו לבתיכם, תנו לצה"ל לפעול.
But that begs the question, who are the Druze? And why is Israel bombing Syria to protect them? After the authoritarian Assad regime collapsed in Syria, there has been a mixed response from the Druze community regarding the newly formed interim government, headed by former rebel leader Ahmad al-Shara. More than 100 Druze were killed in clashes with Syrian government forces earlier in 2025. In the days prior to the Israeli attack, southern Syria's Suwayda had been rocked by clashes as Druze militia clashed with the Sunni Bedouin tribes, triggered by reports of an abduction of a Druze merchant. What started as a local conflict in southern Syria between local Druze and Bedouin communities over the weekend in Syria escalated with Israel's involvement.
كما أخص في كلمتي هذه أهلنا من الدروز الذين هم جزء أصيل من نسيج هذا الوطن. إن سوريا لن تكون أبداً مكاناً للتقسيم أو التفتيت أو زرع الفتن بين أبنائها. نؤكد لكم أن حماية حقوقكم وحريتكم هي من أولوياتنا، وأننا نرفض أي مسعى يهدف لجركم إلى طرف خارجي أو لإحداث انقسام داخل صفوفنا. إننا جميعاً شركاء في هذه الأرض، ولن نسمح لأي فئة كانت أن تشوه هذه الصورة الجميلة التي تعبر عن سوريا وتنوعها.
The Syrian ambassador called the Israeli attacks an extension of their occupation.
وترفض سوريا رفضاً قاطعاً الذرائع التي تسوقها السلطات الإسرائيلية لمحاولة تبرير أفعالها العدوانية، وتؤكد أن هذه الممارسات ليست سوى امتداد لسياسات الاحتلال الممنهجة الرامية إلى تقويض استقرار سوريا وجرها إلى ساحة الصراع، إذ شهدت الأشهر الماضية كما تعلمون جميعاً انتهاكات متكررة من قبل إسرائيل لاتفاق فض الاشتباك لعام 1974 تمثلت في تجاوز المنطقة الفاصلة والتوغل في أراضٍ من محافظات القنيطرة ودرعا وريف دمشق، وارتكاب انتهاكات بحق السكان المدنيين، فضلاً عن إقامة مواقع عسكرية غير شرعية والسيطرة على الموارد الطبيعية.
Amidst this, the Israeli army continued to build a concrete wall on Friday to enforce the fence area separating the Israel-controlled Golan Heights from Syria. Hundreds from the Druze community in Syria and Israel gathered along the border fence in the past days to show each other support. The United Nations has called for peace amid the increased heightened tensions.
It's absolutely essential to achieve two things. One is the unity of the Syrian state in the respect of its sovereignty, but with the full integration of the different communities in the state of Syria, and with all communities fully respect and their rights fully respect. The second thing is the need to respect the territorial integrity of Syria. It is for the Syrians to solve the Syrian problem.
In addition to violating Syria's sovereignty and territorial integrity, Israel's actions undermine efforts to build a new Syria at peace with itself and the region and further destabilize Syria at a sensitive time. It is essential that both Israel and Syria uphold the terms of 1974 disengagement of forces agreement to preserve the ceasefire between both parties and refrain from any action that will further undermine it and the stability on the Golan.
But did the Israeli strikes help the Druze community in any way? Because the clashes between the Druze and Sunni Bedouin have resumed and the Syrian government has re-entered the Suwayda province. Some questions remain unanswered.